So here we are, settled in lockdown. However, some people are needing a little bit of extra help with their science learning. So here I am, your first lockdown biology lesson. Now you're very excited, people. Just make sure you're in a space where you can concentrate, no one around you, get a pen, might want to make some notes, and there are some tasks for you to do written down as well. Shouldn't take too long, and hopefully it'll be a little more interesting than reading from a screen by yourself. And we're going to have our first lesson on the nervous system. Okay, first starter question, team. Why do we need a nervous system? You have 15 seconds. Write down your ideas. Ping! Time up. So, we need a nervous system to react to our surroundings and coordinate our behaviour. Question 2. What is meant by the central nervous system? 15 seconds. Time up. What did you get then? The central nervous system is made up of the brain and spinal cord. Okay, let's just pause and get that into your heads. So the central nervous system is made up of the brain and the spinal cord. Okay, common misconception, everybody. People think that the spine is part of your central nervous system. Let's have a little look at the diagram to see how it pieces together. The brain and the spinal cord, the two organs of the central nervous system. Question 3. What is the scientific term for nerve cells? 15 seconds, and it does start with the same letter as nerve, N. Nerve cells are known as neurons. Question 4. How is information passed along neurons? 15 seconds. And the answer is by electrical impulses. Wait, do you mean we have electricity inside our body? Yes, little Ted, we do. Nervous impulses are low voltage electrical messages. So we have got two new words coming up, receptors and stimuli. So let's get our head around those. Receptors are just specialized cells found in the sense organs, and these receptor cells respond to stimuli. So let's have a look and see what we mean. So here's our friend little Ted again. Thanks, Ted. So we have his sense organs. Let's have a look. His eyes, ears, nose, inside his mouth he has a tongue, and then he's covered with skin. If we shave off all this fur. It's these sense organs that tell Ted about changes in his surroundings. Clever, isn't it? You all know your 5 sense organs from primary school probably. Let's go over them. We've got eyes, ears, nose, skin and tongue. And these give us our 5 basic senses. The sense of sight, hearing, smell, pain, pressure, touch and temperature, and the sense of taste. But it's this central column that we need to focus on. What are stimuli? Alright, let's go through the stimuli. So our eyes respond to light. Ears respond to 2 things actually. Sound, but also changes in our position. Our nose provides us with a sense of smell because it can detect chemicals in the air we breathe in. Now the skin's the big one, our largest external organ, and it detects 4 different stimuli. Here they are: touch, pressure, pain, and heat and cold or temperature. And our tongue, our final sense organ, responds to chemicals in our food and drink. And that is what gives our food and drink its taste. Chemicals. Once again, a stimulus is something that our body responds to. And here they are. Light, sound, chemicals, touch, pressure, pain, and changes of temperature. Calm down, Ted. If, like Ted, you're starting to feel a little bamboozled with all this information, there's an easy way to remember what the skin responds to. The 2 P's and the 2 T's. So the skin responds to touch, changes of temperature, pain, and pressure. The nervous response. A nervous response always follows the same pathway. So step 1 is the stimulus. Nothing will happen without a change in our surroundings. And we've just gone over what the main stimuli are. The stimulus is received by the receptor, and the receptor cells are found in our sense organs. Then we need a coordinator, which is either the brain or spinal cord. And it's the coordinator that processes the information and decides on our action. And then we need an effector, which is either a muscle or a gland. And the final thing is our response. So we start with a stimulus and end with a response. We have to imagine an elephant reading. And think of this sentence. Some really clever elephants read. So the first letter from each of those words represents the part of the nervous response. So stimulus, receptor, coordinator, effector, and response. So just try to picture our really clever elephant. Really clever elephants. Could have used a really clever bear. Oh, I'm sorry, Ted. Yes, we could have done, had there been a B in the sentence we needed to remember. How you doing there, everyone? I've got my eye on you. So you might have noticed your pupils change size, and it depends on the amount of light in your surroundings. So we start with the stimulus. In this situation, it is bright light. The cells in our eyes, the receptor cells, respond to this bright light. A message, and we know now this is an electrical message, travels down a nerve to the coordinator, which is found in our central nervous system. And then this message goes down a different nerve to the effector, and in this situation it's the muscles surrounding the pupil. And the muscles will then contract to bring about our response, a smaller sized pupil. And that response is designed to protect us from harm. Time for your first checkpoint. Let's see what you've learned. Here are your 5 questions. I'm going to give you 90 seconds to try and answer them. Your 90 seconds starts now. Seconds is up. Goes quickly, doesn't it, when you've got 5 different things to try and answer? Well, let's see how you did. Here are the answers. Pause if you need to. Section 2, everybody. Reflex actions. Just a couple of warm-up questions for you. First one, what is a reflex action? 15 seconds. Time up. A reflex action is a fast, automatic response that protects us from harm. Question 2. Give 3 examples of reflexes. 15 seconds. Time up. So, we know that reflex actions are automatic and rapid, and this is because they do not involve the conscious part of the brain. And here are some examples of common reflexes. So, blinking, coughing, hopefully you're not doing too much of that during lockdown, sneezing, same applies, and the withdrawal reflex. And the withdrawal reflex is when you touch something sharp, painful or hot or too cold, and you instinctively move that body part away from the source. Hey Ted, you want to do something fun? Of course I do. Right, it's about time we got Mr. Jones involved in this. So it's just, when
Ouch, you! Teddy, bad Teddy.
Good reflexes, honey. How's it going, hon?
Oh, alright. Ouch!
Time to learn about the 3 different types of neuron. First up is the sensory neuron. The sensory neuron takes the information from your receptors to your spinal cord and your brain, your central nervous system. Next one is just a little neuron known as a relay neuron, and this connects the sensory neuron to the next neuron in line, which is known as the motor neuron. And it's the motor neuron that takes the information to the muscle or the gland that needs to bring about our response. So here they are again in order: sensory, relay and motor neurons. The reflex arc. So the reflex arc is the pathway a nervous response takes from receptor to effector during a reflex action. And it's called a reflex arc because if you look at the diagram, you can see that the neurons form an arc shape. So we're just going to talk you through this now. We start with the receptor. Here, in this case, the receptor is found in the skin. Now the receptor is responding to the stimulus. In this situation, it's a sharp nail touching the hand. An electrical impulse then passes along this neuron here, the sensory neuron, all the way to the spinal cord. Remember, we don't want this to go to the brain, we need it to go to the spinal cord because it processes much faster. In the spinal cord, the impulse is passed along the relay neuron straight on to the motor neuron here. And the motor neuron takes the impulse to the effector, which in this situation is a muscle. As soon as the information reaches the muscle contracts and it will pull this hand away from the source of danger, i.e. the sharp nail. Time for a task. Put these into the correct sequence to form a reflex arc, and you have 60 seconds. Time up. Let's see how you got on. So first up, you should have receptor, followed by sensory neuron, relay neuron, and that's found in the spinal cord, don't forget. motor neuron, and finally the effector. How did you do? Alright everybody, your final checkpoints of today's lesson. We'll just get our bearings together, then I'll give you 60 seconds. So here, this is our skin. So something's happening to the skin here. This is our receptor. This over here is the spinal cord. And this is a muscle. So you need to name these components of the reflex arc. And you have 60 seconds. Time up. So from left to right we have stimulus, receptor, sensory neuron. The synapse was labelled for you because we'll learn about that in another lesson. And then along the bottom here we've got the relay neuron, motor neuron, and finally the effector. Ah, hello. Looks like Ted's ready for his quiz. Are you? Okay, quick fire round everybody. Multiple choice quiz. Just call your answers out. Doesn't matter, you're not going to interrupt anybody, are you? So, question 1. A nerve cell can also be called, is it a nerve, a neuron, or a specialised cell? Correct answer is neuron. Next, which type of neuron transmits a signal from a sense organ to the central nervous system? Is it the sensory, the relay, or the motor neuron? Correct answer, sensory neuron. Next question. Which part of the nervous system is not involved in producing reflex actions? The brain, the spinal cord, or the receptors? Correct answer is the brain. What is the eye an example of? Stimulus, receptor, or effector? The eye is a receptor organ. Which type of neuron transmits a signal from the central nervous system to an effector, such as a muscle? Sensory, relay, or motor? Correct answer is the motor neuron. And finally, which is the correct sequence for a reflex arc this is? I will not read all of these out, but I'll zoom in a little closer for you. Which is the correct sequence? I'll give you a little longer. If you want, you can just pause it and here and give yourself some more thinking time. And 3 seconds, 2, 1, 0. The correct answer is this one here on the right. So stimulus, receptor, sensory, relay, motor, effector, and response. Right team, that's today's biology lesson done. Well done little Ted, and well done to you if you managed to get through everything and learned a few bits and pieces along the way. See you next time, I hope.